Hey, welcome into Husker247 Daily. I'm Mike Schaefer, joined by Michael Bruntz here on Wednesday. Bruntz, it is the middle of the post Akron week. Looking ahead to Houston Christian, it just sort of feels like us and the media, the fan base, we're looking ahead to Michigan. Nebraska can't. Nebraska has to stay laser focused on the Houston Christian Huskies. So I guess we should at least try to meet them in the middle a little bit. Uh, let's talk transfers. Nebraska brought in a big haul, and it's been 2 games so far. Give me a guy on offense that has stood out for you so far. Just one. Don't BC it and try to sneak in an extra 2 or 3 in there.
uh, I didn't know what to expect from him when he showed up, but Nyziah Hunter, I want to see more of him. And I think, the conversation coming out of week one about how explosive Nebraska's offense was going to be was kind of an interesting one. And I felt like he was a guy that could kind of bring that big play ability. And liked what I saw against Akron. He seems like he's always going to jostle for the ball and be in a place where he's able to make a big play. So I think certainly could say Dane Key, but Hunter, I think, is a guy that I don't even know that he's close to his ceiling yet. And that's kind of the fun part. Like he feels like a guy that once Nebraska gets into conference play, it's like, okay, we need somebody to go up and get a ball. That's where they're going to go with it. So I think he's probably been the one that was a little bit of a mystery given his limited college experience. I know he played as a redshirt freshman at Cal, but he's impressed me. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Hunter. I was probably would it be weird to say it was almost an afterthought for me? Is like all about getting Dane Key. And then everything I heard, and I know you heard similar, was Nebraska getting Hardly Gilmore the fourth was a huge win and a guy that Kentucky was really excited about and had big play potential and could be a future slot wide receiver for Dana Holgerson and Daikiel Shorts. And then it's like, yeah, they got this Nyziah Hunter guy who had a nice year with Cal. I don't know what he's going to be. And you get through the summer and there's a little bit of whispers and you read other people's work and there's some hints that like Matt Rule really liked this guy. He was pretty high on their target board. And then I think it was Adam Rittenberg from ESPN had something where he talked with Rule in the off season and he held this nugget back until this transfer piece. And it was basically like Nyziah Hunter was their number one target on their transfer portal board. Like that was the guy they wanted to go out and get. And through 2 weeks, I can see why. Like I think there is really, really big upside there for him at wide receiver. And it's kind of fascinating. I don't have like a comparable previous Nebraska receiver because he's he plays bigger than he actually is, and he has some explosion in his game, but he also seems to have big, strong hands, and it's just kind of smooth in a way that I wasn't expecting. I thought he was going to be more of a bruiser, and he's kind of all around just a little bit good at everything he does. Is that fair?
Yeah, and it's interesting. You go back to the spring, and Dana Holgerson was kind of hinting like, this guy needs to kind of pick it up and practice a little bit. Haven't really seen it to this point. And then they got him into a scrimmage setting, and it was like, oh, okay, here it is. I mean, I watched a fair amount of Cal football, probably more than one person should. And I mean, he was a bright spot for him last year. I mean, they struggled up front, but they could chuck the ball around the yard a little bit. And I mean, it's interesting. I think part of the reason why he didn't get as much attention relative to Nebraska's other transfer additions was his recruitment. Really, there wasn't much drama. Like Nebraska narrowed in on him pretty early. He visited, and that was kind of it. So I think that's part of it too. Is sometimes when you don't at least publicly have to fend off other suitors, guys maybe don't get the kind of run or juice from the fan base that maybe they're deserving of.
Yep. I think that's entirely possible, but he's going to get plenty run at Nebraska if he keeps putting up games like he has in the first 2 of his career so far. All right, defensive side of the ball. Who's someone that stood out for you so far through 2 games? Transfer portal additions only.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it's not like I didn't know the question was coming. I Andrew Marshall's been pretty impressive, but I'll go a different route. Dasan McCullough, for what he's been asked to do, I'm eager to see more there. I know that you have your concerns about his ability to set the edge in Big Ten play, and
I like
I
the
think
way they used him more against Akron than what they sort of did
yes,
against Cincinnati. I think that's
yeah,
an important distinction.
yep. No, I think they've moved him around a ton too. Like
Yep.
I think they've asked him to do a lot of different things, and I think there's probably a settling in process that has to happen there. But in terms of just a guy that's willing to run and make plays, I mean, he runs a ton when he's out there. So I'm eager to see how they use him because I think he's kind of that X factor that they can bring in and use on third downs to be a little bit creative with. Is there somebody I'm
Yeah.
missing? I feel like I'm missing somebody very obvious.
Well, there's Williams Winery, and then there's, any of the other defensive linemen. There's Watson Trent. But you said the name that I would probably put out there as well, and that's Andrew Marshall. I mean, he been really good. I don't know if that Pro Football Focus agrees, but who the hell cares about Pro Football Focus? I mean, Nebraska's given up like 120 yards passing in 2 games combined, and he's been a part of that, and he's played kind of not shut down, but he took away Cyrus Allen, and we saw what he did immediately in a game where he didn't have Andrew Marshall on him. He took out it's not that Akron was loaded at wide receivers, but it was 2 back-to-back competent games. And I just remember talking with Dan Jackson in the offseason, and Dan was his position coach and defensive coordinator over there at Idaho and was gonna try to bring him to New Mexico when Dan was originally going to be the defensive coordinator at New Mexico, and then he got the job as South Dakota State's head coach. And all of that to say, like, he believed in his heart that Andrew Marshall would have been way too good for the Mountain West. Felt like he was a Big Ten level player. I don't know that Dan steered him necessarily to Nebraska, but I don't think it hurt that Nebraska has a good relationship with Dan Jackson, and that
Josh Mitchell
Andrew,
too.
yeah, and Andrew had a good relationship with Josh Mitchell, and he just felt better in Lincoln than he did in Miami. I came down to Miami and Nebraska, and allegedly Miami offered more money. Nebraska, he felt, offered more stability. He chose Nebraska, and he's been a starter. And really excited to see kind of where that goes for him. And I think, there's potential for him in the return game too. With Ja'Cory Barney locking in the punt return job, it kind of leaves kick return open. Him and Kenneth Williams seem to be the 1-2 there. So there's some extra potential value of Andrew Marshall as well.
Yeah, no, I think the secondary is. I mean, for him to come in and win that starting job in the secondary, which is a very good secondary, by the way, speaks quite a bit to his talent. So, interestingly enough, Idaho had a few guys on their team last year that were just total dudes. So, good that they found a place to land. But I feel like he's going to have a lot to say in what Nebraska is defensively this year.
Yeah, if and when Jason Eck wins like 5 to 7 games at New Mexico and someone offers him another job, they're going to get a heck of a
You got to
coach.
get out now.
As soon as he can escape New Mexico, which
Win and get
he
out
put
of
himself in.
Albuquerque.
But he went to Idaho and they were terrible before, and then they were really good. He's a really, really good coach. That's a name to file away for your hot boards later if you're an enthusiast for that. Let's just stick with portals. We'll finish it out with portal players. I want to talk about some of the specialists. Kyle Kunanen, 3 for 3 so far in the year, hit the 52-yarder, made the 2 easier kicks since then. Kind of gives you a sense of relief that when Nebraska gets inside, let's say, the opponent's 30, you feel pretty good they're going to walk away with at least points. You couldn't say that the last 2 years.
No, you couldn't. And not only that, but I mean the snaps have been great. Knock on wood to this point. The battery has been really good out of the transfer portal. Sorry, my dog's just biting the crap out of my hands. Kevin Gallick's been, I mean, everything you would have hoped. And we've seen what happens if that snapper spot is not buttoned up. And 2 games in, I don't know that things could have gone much better. I mean, that's kind of the case for Nebraska special teams as a whole right now. I mean, things are going really well there.
Yeah, and it's not just like, oh, good things are happening to them. They're going out and creating good things. And you had Kevin Gallick high in your most indispensable Huskers, and it looks like you were pretty darn correct in that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of a layup, though. I mean we've seen the flip side of that coin for sure,
and we never want to see it again. We never want to see it again. But you know what you want to see if you're out there listening? You want to see more Huskers coverage. You get over to Husker247 Plenty of stuff going on there. Plenty of coverage from the press conferences earlier this week. Of course, Rule talks again on Thursday. We'll have the Hypecast out on Thursday as well. So plenty of stuff happening, plus all the other good stuff. Nebraska's going to have some recruits again this weekend. There's still some recruits talking about how things went for them. There's still offers going out for Nebraska and everything else going on right now. So plenty of stuff happening. Husker 24/7, the place to get all of it.